Hello, everyone. This session, we're going to cover configuration of defined shift in Onfinity. Let's begin with the login into the system. Here's the login page. I'll enter the user ID as Sonic Admin. Then input the password to log in. Once logged in, I'm on the home page. You'll see a few mosaics here. Our next step is the defined shift screen. You can find it by searching on top left as defined shift, or by going directly to the HR management folder. You will find various sections for HR modules within that folder. Right now, we're going to configure the defined shift. It's part of attendance management and is needed for attendance. Next, let's open the defined shift screen. I'll go to the attendance management menu, then to the attendance setup folder, and click on the defined shift screen. Then, click on the new record. First, I select the organization. In this session, I'm choosing the STAR organization, which means the created shift will be available across all organizations. If you want to set it for a specific organization, you can select it from the list. First, I will explain each field before adding the data. Here's the shift name. The name should be self-explanatory, so make sure to pick a suitable name. For shift type, I can choose between afternoon, evening, morning, or night as required. The choice of type will depend on the shift time. For example, if I am creating a shift for the morning, I will select morning. Similarly, you would select evening for an evening shift. You would select afternoon for an afternoon shift, and night for a nighttime shift. I will pick the respective option from the list. Next, we have the start date. We will enter the start date for when this shift will begin in the organization. The end date is not required right now. It will only be entered when the shift is no longer needed. Then, we have the in time. This is the login time, which shows when the employee needs to log in or start work. Out time, this is the logout time, which shows when the employee needs to log out, punch out, or stop work. Shift hours will be auto-populated based on the in time and out time once we save the record. The cutoff hour is mandatory. Here, we need to enter the minimum full day hours for the shift. The cutoff time for a half day is also mandatory. For this, we must enter the minimum half-day hours for the shift. For a night shift, we need to enable this checkbox. For a flexible shift, we need to enable this checkbox. Enabling it allows employees flexibility to punch in and out for their attendance time. If we mark week off as true, that shift will be treated as a weekly off instead of a normal working shift. In the next section, we have two mandatory fields, in or out rules, and overtime allow. For in or out rules, we have yes or no options. If we are not using a biometric device, we can skip this and mark it as no. However, if we are using a biometric device or integration, we must set it to yes. After selecting yes, a few more fields will appear, which are mandatory to complete. The max cutoff in time field specifies how many hours before the in time the employee is allowed to punch in. The max cutoff out time field specifies how many hours after the out time the employee is allowed to punch out. For early before, enter the time here, referring to the out time. This sets the validation for how early an employee can punch out from their shift time. For late after, enter the time here, referring to the in time. This sets the validation for how late an employee is allowed to punch in after their shift time. For early before half day, enter the time here, referring to the out time. This sets the validation for how early an employee can punch out in the case of a half day. These three fields indicate the hours that allow late coming and early going from the shift. If we enable the Calculate Working Hours on Attendance Details checkbox, it will show all punches made by employees in a day in the Employee Attendance Summary transaction. This helps to track how many punches an employee marks in a day. Next, we have the Overtime Allows setting. This also has a yes or no option. If we choose no, it means we are not allowing overtime for this particular shift. If we choose yes, we have a few fields to enter. For Calculate OT Hours for early login, once we enable this checkbox, we need to enter the number of minutes after which the system should calculate OT hours for early login before the shift time. For Calculate OT Hours after shift end time, Once we enable this checkbox, we have to enter the number of minutes after which the system should calculate OT hours for late logout after the shift end time. Regarding overtime approval required, if we enable this checkbox, it means an approval workflow is necessary for overtime. Lastly, we have the formula field. This is optional. If we don't have any specific customization or logic, for example, for overtime or attendance calculation for the shift created in the Formula Master window, we can skip this field. Now I am going to enter the data into the fields. We will start with the name. I am entering the name as General Shift. Since I am creating a general shift, the type is set to morning because the shift starts in the morning. The start date is January 1st, 2021. The end date is not required, so I will leave it blank. The in time is 9 a.m. and the out time is 6 p.m. Shift hours will be auto-populated based on the in and out time. The cutoff hours are 9 hours. For half days, the cutoff hours are 4 hours. This shift is not a night shift. It is not flexible, and it is not a week off. Therefore, I will skip those options and move to the other details. I am choosing yes for in or out rules. The maximum off-in time is 3 hours, and the maximum cutoff out time is 3 hours. For early before, since my shift ends at 6 p.m., I will set this to 6 p.m. For late after, since my shift starts at 9 a.m., I will set this to 9 a.m. For early before half day, I am entering 1 p.m., and I am skipping calculate working hours on attendance details here. Next, I am choosing overtime allows, yes. Calculate OT hours for early login as true and enter 30 minutes. Then, I'll mark calculate OT hours after shift end time as true and enter 30 minutes here as well. Afterwards, I will save the record. Now on the left side, you can see a navigation tab named Configure Break. Click on the Configure Break tab. A new record will be automatically created. You need to enter the break name. I am entering lunch break. You can enter any suitable name. The start time is when the break starts during the shift. Here I am entering 1 p.m. The end time is 1:30 p.m. The allowed duration is 30 minutes. Then click Save to the record. So the general shift has now been created. Click on the back icon and go back. You can now use the same method to create other shifts as well. Now we will see where the shift is used. Go to the Attendance menu. Click on the Shift Management form. You can use the created shifts in the Shift Management form to select the shifts for the employees and plan their roster or work plan accordingly. For more detailed information on this form, please refer to the ATM 2003 video. That concludes our defined shift configuration for today. Thank you for attending.